So, what is the secret ingredient to self-awareness? In this video, I'm going to be talking about how there actually is a secret ingredient to self-awareness and how it can be the bottom line game changer for you in your quest for cultivating your greatest competitive advantage, which is actually you. Hi, I'm Nicole Whipp, and this is Healthy Success 101, where smart success is without the burnout and overwhelm. So then that leads to what's the secret ingredient of self-awareness, and this is related to forgotten knowledge. Since the time of Aristotle and Plato, so this is ancient knowledge. It's stuff that's been known for a long time. It is well known that there are three parts to our minds. And what are they? Well, over here in the gold, we have the cognitive part of our mind. And this is what I would call the four corners of the resume. So, or the four corners of your capability statement, right? So, what are your skills and abilities? What do you know? How talented are you at doing a thing, right? And so the four corners of the resume, and if there's a lot of people in here that have hired people before, and you look at somebody on a resume and then they come and work for your company, and you're like, oh, wow, that did not, whoa, what happened there, right? And part of the reason is because you can't just look at the four corners of the resume to know who somebody is, right? Okay, then sometimes we get into the second part, which is the affective part of the mind. This is your personality, is what we think about it. So has anybody in here ever taken a personality test, MBTI, StrengthsFinder, DISC, anything like that, right? A majority of the people in this room have done that. And so what those things are looking at are, what are your values? What is, are you introverted or extroverted? What motivates you? What are your preferences, right? Those are the measurements of those things. Where the interesting part gets in is into this third part of the mind, which is the conative part of your mind. Now, this is where your instinct lies. How do you naturally take action? Where is your mental energy? What is the source of your mental energy? And when you understand this very much about yourself and the effect it has on others, this is where you can see some very drastically different results. But remember, and there is an assessment, by the way, for measuring conative energy. And I'm going to talk to you about it, but it's not important. It's just knowing that it exists. But remember, just one of the things that happens a lot of times is we use a lot of assessments in our work. And of course, people can be very resistant to getting an assessment at work, especially, right? People don't want to take assessments. I'm getting some nods, because they can feel uncomfortable. Also, they're just a tool. Assessments are tools, right? But the other thing is anybody taken an assessment and then maybe done a half-day training, if you're lucky, but then you put it back into the drawer and never look at it again? Ever had that experience? Right? But assessment is a tool. But if you don't take the tool out of the toolbox and actually use it, it's not going to do you any good, right? So you always want to look at any assessment that you use, whether it's a personality, a cognitive, or a conative assessment, as a tool, but you got to take it out of the toolbox and actually use it. But that's where almost every company or person falls down. It's like taking that next step. We're not using our tools in the proper way. Also, when we think about using an assessment as a tool, this is a reason why people don't like them. They feel like weapons, right? I can't tell you how many times I've gone into a corporate environment and people have said to me, I don't want to do this because they're going to use it as an excuse to not promote me, to fire me, to whatever the reasons are, right? Or I don't really want people knowing anything about me, or this is going to put me in a box that I'm not going to be able to get out of, right? And guess what? When they are used that way, all of these things are true. But we always want to think about using an assessment, especially when it's in the realm of self-awareness, as a piece of the puzzle of who we are. Because if I just look at a piece of a puzzle, it doesn't tell me anything on its own. I have to fit it into the entire picture to really understand it. But that piece of the puzzle is great for understanding something, and I always look at it as the corners of the puzzle. The assessments are the ones that sort of give us the shortcut to getting the answer. But just, we want to remember that, and when we're using them in our companies, or we're using them with our teams, or using them with ourselves, we're just remembering that we're not trying to say that this is the be-all and end-all of you. This is just a piece.